People can do the city council job no matter what job they have in their daily lives. MSU is obviously a huge part of East Lansing. It's a huge physical chunk of East Lansing, but there's also this relationship between two very large organizations. And I want to try to improve that relationship, and I think we have an opportunity to do that now with the new president in place. And academics have a certain language and a certain set of ways they communicate with each other, and I think I'm actually in a good position to start a running dialogue with the new president to try to focus on some shared policy goals. We want to try to retain more talent in East Lansing. A lot of smart people graduate from MSU with a lot of expertise. We want to keep them here instead of having them go elsewhere. And MSU is also this huge engine of applied research that we should be commercializing right here in our downtown instead of off in some industrial park or off in some other part of the state or the country. And those two things work together. If we have jobs here for people to stay, and if we can keep making the downtown an interesting place to be, then people will stay, and that will be great for the city and will be great for MSU. So I think I'm in a good position to try to start that conversation with the new president and the new leadership and try to make some of those things happen. Connection with students is really important because I get a sense of where people like to live, where graduate students like to live. We'd like to have more graduate students living here in East Lansing, and so they have maybe a different set of interests and needs, so I try to factor that into my perspective. Smart, environmentally responsible decisions are also low-cost decisions. So one of the things I want to do is go to electric vehicle fleets for the city as soon as we can, especially the maintenance vehicles. There's no reason those should be gas-powered at this point. Those should be electric-powered. They're cheaper to run, they're cheaper to maintain, and it's better for the environment. The other thing I want to do is start putting solar panels on city buildings and city property and start generating enough power to cover the city's needs and maybe even feed back into the grid. And that just makes sense from a cost analysis perspective. And if we can afford to make that investment, we should do it to try to lower the city's operating costs in the long run. So what's good for the environment is very often also good for the bottom line. And I think we need to keep that in mind and push that issue as hard as we possibly can. So one of the things that we really need, and I think a lot of people want in the downtown, is a large corporate tenant or an office building with a collection of corporate tenants. We need those jobs to attract people who will work here during the day and then wander around at lunchtime with money to spend, and that'll be good for local business. And we want a situation ultimately in 5 or 10 years where you have people working in the downtown and living in the downtown right by where they work, so they don't have to drive anywhere. And so they're a captive audience to drive the growth of new and interesting businesses. So that's something I really want to push on, and it has a relationship to this idea of trying to commercialize more of MSU's research right here in our downtown. If we had an office space for them to do that, I think that would be terrific. So that's one of the big new projects that I'm hoping will come our way in the next few years.